Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing my series review, The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. As always, you can find all episodes of my show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There are many ways to support the show. Support is never expected, but always appreciated. You can share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get extra content there for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and some other items with designs made by friends of the show. Please follow friends of the show, and that would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host with me of the show with me on Saturdays when she's able to join me. Also, Ricky of Anything Is Possible, the podcast and show. I join him on Sundays now to talk all things paranormal on his channel. And Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows as well as my own online 24/7 for free. And I think that takes care of the intro. So, a couple of things I always like to mention when I get back to these Charles Fort shows. Um, First of all, the ideas and the words and thoughts expressed in Fort's work may not be those of you or myself. We may not all agree on what he's talking about or saying. So just be aware of that. Also, there may be some things in his writing that he talks about that seem anomalous or mysterious to him that have been explained since then, which these books came out nearly 100 years ago. So there's a fair amount that's happened since then in terms of just research and all that. Also, I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations of names and or words, as words are hard, and not all the words or names in the book are even in English. So just be aware of all those things, and let me find where I'm at here. I'm going to read from the top of the page here because it kind of sets up where we were actually at in the book, and we'll get going here. So now at this point in the book, Fort was talking about these scoop marks or cup-shaped marks found in stones around the world. And so we're starting with that, and it says, Professor Douglas, Saturday Review, November 24th, 1883, in quotation marks. Whatever may have been their motive, the cup markers showed a decided liking for arranging their sculpturings in regularly spaced rows, and quotation marks. That cup marks are an archaic form of inscription was first suggested by Canon Greenwell many years ago, but more specifically, Adam Ratory to our own. I've never seen that one before. To our own expression are the observations of Rivet / Karnak, Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society, 1903-515. That the Braille system, that's fascinating, of raised dots is an inverted arrangement of cup marks. Also, that there are strong resemblances to the Morse code, but no tame and systematized archaeologist can do more than casually point out resemblances and merely suggest that strings of cup marks look like messages because China, Switzerland, Algeria, America. If messages they be, there seems to be no escape from attributing one origin to them. Then, if messages they be, I accept one external origin to which the whole surface of this earth was accessible for them. Something else that we emphasize, that rows of cup marks have often been likened to footprints. But in this similitude, their unlinear arrangement must be disregarded. Of course, often they are mixed up in every way, but arrangement in single lines is very common. It is odd that they should so often be likened to footprints. I suppose there are exceptional cases, but unless it's something that hops on one foot, or a cat going along a narrow fence top, I don't think of anything that makes footprints one directly ahead of another. Cop in a station house walking a chalk line, perhaps. Upon the Witch's Stone near Ratho, Scotland, there are 24 cups, varying in size. That's fascinating. From 1.5 to 3 inches in diameter. Spot. There we go. Arranged in approximately straight lines. Locally, it is explained that these are tracks of dogs' feet. Proceedings of Society of Antiquity of Scotland, I believe, 2-4-39. Similar marks are scattered bewilderingly all around the Witch's Stone, like a frenzy of telegraphing, or like messages repeating and repeating, trying to localize differently. In Inverness-shire, that is what it says, cup marks are called fairies' footmarks. At Valna's Church, Norway, and St. Peter's in Ambleteuse, there are such marks said to be horses' hoofprints. The rocks of Clare, Ireland, are marked with prints supposed to have been made by a mythical cow. Folklore 21-184. We now have such a ghost of a thing that I'd not like to be interpreted as offering it as a datum. It simply illustrates what I mean by the notion of symbols like cups or like footprints, or which, if like those of horses or cows, are the reverse of or the negatives of cups, of symbols that are regularly received somewhere upon this earth. Steep conical hill somewhere I think, but that have often alighted in wrong places, considerably to the mystification of persons waking up some morning to find them upon formerly blank spaces. An ancient record, still worse, an ancient Chinese record of a courtyard of a palace. Dwellers of the palace waking up one morning, finding the courtyard marked with tracks like the footprints of an ox. Suppose that the devil did it. Notes and queries 9-225. That appears to be at the end of that chapter. So that's fascinating. So that the last show that I did on this, and then this one, there are these cup marks, or cup, almost like scoop marks, you could say. Apparently found in all those countries, all those regions of the world that Fort mentioned there. So not sure if he's done with that topic for now or not. We'll find out as I start this next chapter. So let's see here. Because I haven't, I did a summary series on these books a couple of years ago, but never actually read them all the way through. So I'm actually reading this on the show live. I have never, I listened to it once, I believe, somewhere. But anyway, moving on to chapter 16. Angels. Hordes upon hordes of them. Beings massed like the clouds of souls, or the commingling whiffs of spirituality, or the exhalations of souls that Dore pictured so often. It may be that the Milky Way is a composition of stiff, frozen, finally static, absolute angels. We shall have data of little Milky Ways moving swiftly, or data of hosts of angels, not absolute, or still dynamic. I suspect myself that the fixed stars are really fixed, and that the minute motions said to have been detected in them are illusions. Keep in mind, like I said, this is about 100 years ago, but who knows? Back to the writing here. I think that the fixed stars are absolutes. Their twinkling is only the interpretation by an intermediatist state of them. Let's see. Page ends, okay. I think that soon after Leverrier died, a new fixed star was discovered. That if Dr. Gray had stuck to his story of the thousands of fishes from one pail of water, this is from way in the beginning of the book, had written upon it, lectured upon it, taken to street corners to convince the world that, whether conceivable or not, his explanation was the only true explanation, had thought of nothing but this last thing at night and first thing in the morning. His obituary, another nova, reported in monthly notices. I think that Milky Ways of an inferior or dynamic order have often been seen by astronomers. Of course, it may be that the phenomena that we shall now consider are not angels at all, We are simply feeling around, trying to find out what we can accept. Some of our data indicate hosts of rotund and complacent tourists in interplanetary space, but then data of long, lean, hungry ones. I think that there are, out in interplanetary space, super Tamerlanes at the head of hosts of celestial ravagers, which have come here and pounced upon civilizations of the past, cleaning them up, all but their bones, or temples, and monuments, for which later historians have invented exclusionist histories. But if something now has a legal right to us and can enforce its proprietorship, they've been warned off. It's the way of all exploitation. I should say that we are now under cultivization, that we're conscious of it, but have the impertinence to attribute it all to our own nobler and higher instincts. Against these notions is the same sense of finality that opposes all advance. It's why we rate acceptance as a better adaptation than belief. Opposing us is the strong belief that, as to interplanetary phenomena, virtually everything has been found out. Sense of finality and illusion of homogeneity, but that what is called advancing knowledge is violation of the sense of blankness. A drop of water. Once upon a time, water was considered so homogeneous, I always have a hard time with that word, that it was thought of as an element. The microscope, and not only that, the supposititiously elementary was seen to be of infinite diversity, but that in its protoplasmic life there were new orders of beings. Or the year 1491, and a European looking westward over the ocean, his feeling that that suave western droop was unbreakable, that gods of regularity would not permit that that smooth horizon to be disturbed by coasts or spotted with islands. The unpleasantness of even contemplating such a state, wide, smooth west, so clean against the sky, spotted with islands, geographic leprosy. But coasts and islands and Indians and bison in the seemingly vacant west, lakes, mountains, rivers. One looks up at the sky, the relative homogeneity of the relatively unexplored. One thinks of only a few kinds of phenomenon, but the acceptance is forced upon me that there are no, modes and modes and modes of interplanetary existence. Things as different from planets and comets and meteors as Indians are from bison and prairie dogs. A supergeography, or celestiography, that's quite the word, of vast stagnant regions, but also of super Niagaras, bodies of water, I guess, and ultra, yeah, rivers there, and ultra Mississippis, and a super sociology, voyagers and tourists, and the ravagers, the hunted and the hunting, the super mercantile, the super piratic, the super evangelical, sense of homogeneity, or our positivist illusion of the unknown, and the fate of all positivism, astronomy and the academic, ethics and the abstract, the universal attempt to formulate or to regularize, an attempt that can be made only by disregarding or denying, or all things disregard or deny that which will eventually invade and destroy them, until comes the day when some one thing shall say and enforce upon infinitude, in quotation marks here, and this is just for explaining his ideas, I guess. Thus far shalt thou go. Here is absolute demarcation, end quotation marks. The final utterance, quotation marks again, there is only I, close quotation marks. In the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, I'm not sure, RAS, 11-48, there is a letter from the Reverend W. Reed that upon the 4th of September, 1851, at 9:30 a.m., I started reading this without looking at how long it is. So we're going to stop there because it's a good sized paragraph. So we moved away, obviously, from the cup marks or scoop marks, and getting back into space and what might be out in space. And as I always bring up again over and over, Fort was, I think, one of the first in recent times to start thinking about or talking about, and at least publishing about, the possibility of aliens and or UFOs and all the things that might be out there in space. And so I think, this is before any of those words, at least UFOs definitely, were even out there. So looks like next episode we'll be getting into more of that. And I'm guessing we must be getting close to being done with this book, but we still have 4 more books from him to go. So the series is not over by any means for quite a while, I'm sure. That's it for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.